Hello everyone and welcome to the Tank Club. Today we're on the PTS looking at some particularly distressing information regarding weapon enchants. The problem seems to be that weapon enchants no longer proc gear sets. So we've seen a similar issue in the past where it wasn't in the patch notes with regards to like Blood Altar not proccing healing gear sets. Now it appears we're not going to be able to proc certain gear sets with our actual weapon enchants. Now this is huge. This is a game changer. This is going to make a massive, massive impact on a lot of different things, and it also affects tanks. So, in regards to a few tank sets that are going to be affected by this, we've got Encratis being the first gear set, and what this means is if you use a one-handed weapon with a flame glyph, this is no longer going to proc Encratis. So if we just show you here, if we do a light attack, there's no Encratis proc. So, no Encratis proc from using a flame glyph on your one-hander. So this is a particular problem. So what this means is for most classes now, to proc Encratis, you're going to have to slot a skill. So you're going to have to use Scalding Rune from the Mages Guild. Or be a Dragon Knight using a fire skill. That will obviously proc it. Obviously, if we look here, if we use a skill, there we go. There's the Encratis proc. So it procs with a skill. It just won't proc with the weapon enchant. Now, situations where this becomes quite a problem. If you're a tank who uses Elemental Catalyst, you're probably not going to be able to do that anymore. So if we look at this particular situation, so we're going to slot an infused shock damage ice staff on the back bar, and we've got Catalyst on the front bar. When we place down the ice blockade, we're not going to get any uptime on the shock weakness, even though our shock enchant is going to proc. So if we just put down our things, as you can see underneath the boss at the top, it is ticking away with the flame and the frost weakness. We're getting no ice weakness whatsoever, even though our enchant is proccing. So as you can see, there's the little icon from the actual enchant proc is there, but we're not getting any of the shock weakness. So if we just quickly look at the CMX report for this, obviously we've got the frost weakness, we've got the flame weakness, we've got the minor vulnerability, which is applied when we concuss the enemy with the charged weapon. So we're able to cause the shock damage. So charged weapon, that's the enchant. It proc 12 times. We've got 0 uptime on shock weakness. Major problem. Now, things like status effects can still proc. So if we look at this, so if we consider minor brittle in the conventional way, with where we use an enchant on the back bar, infused frost damage, frost staff, and then on the front bar we have a charged weapon. If we place that down, we still get our brittle. There's our brittle proc, and there we go, ticks again. So the frost enchant will still proc status effects, and it'll still proc minor brittle. Those things are still active, so we've got a really good uptime there. So that's not affected. But gear sets are what are being affected. So we cannot proc gear sets with weapon enchants. So anything that requires a certain status or a certain application of damage, now glyphs don't appear to do that. The question really is this a bug? So is this intended? Because it's not in the patch notes from what I've seen. It's a bit of an issue. Like, is this intended? So, like, the shock damage glyph will proc shock damage, will proc concussion, it'll do everything, but it will not proc that shock weakness. This is particularly interesting for Elemental Catalyst, because what this means is you've got to have a source of all different types of damage now. So, Wardens will be okay, because they can use Gripping Shards, Scalding Rune, and a Lightning Staff. Sorcerers will be okay, because they can use Lightning Form, Ice Staff, Scalding Rune. When you look at a Dragon Knight, the Dragon Knight doesn't have access to any shock abilities. The Templar and the Nightblade have no access to shock. The Necro could be okay if they use Boneyard, Scalding Rune, and a Lightning Staff. But in terms of the tank role, gear sets like Elemental Catalyst are looking pretty dead. Encratis is looking more of a pain to use because you have to slot a physical skill to proc it. We're kind of looking in a way, I guess, that Nazare is a potential substitute for that, for the main tank at least. So maybe that won't be as much of an issue because you might have you're going to have an off tank potentially use it. Big changes to weapon enchants. We'll figure out if this is intended or not. We'll update you with any new information we have about this situation. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.